Hello Algebra 1. Today is your quiz day, so we are going to do a QQR just to help you get prepared. Remember, you can use all of your notes to help you with your Canvas quiz, so do that. Alright, so it's just the front here, and we're going to go ahead and skip this bottom one. So this shouldn't take you too much time, and then remember your Canvas quiz is due by 11:59 p.m., and you can take it as many times as you'd like. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is solve using zero product property. Remember, this does not mean we're going to FOIL. FOIL is multiplying. Since the directions do say to solve, and since we also have an equal 0, this is where we'll be setting each piece equal to 0. Okay, and then we'll just solve each equation separately. So this first one, I will subtract my 2 on both sides. And then I will go ahead and I'll divide by 3 on both sides, and I'll just get x equals negative 2/3. And that is representing one of my x-intercepts. And then my other one, I just have to add my 10, and x equals 10. That's my other x-intercept. Next, we'll go on to factoring. So these are just your box problems. Notice that none of these have an equal 0, so we will not be doing the step that we just did in number 1. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and put our answers in our parentheses here. Okay, so for example, here I'm multiplying to 18. And I'm adding to 9, and those numbers would be a 6 and a 3, and they'll both be positive. So I'll have x plus 6, x plus 3. You could also have the x plus 3 first, but you do need to have both of them with positives. Okay. Next, I'm multiplying to 30, and I'm adding to negative 11. Notice that I'm multiplying to a positive still. That means my signs will stay the same, but since I'm adding to a negative, they'll both be negatives. And those should be a 5 and a 6. Alright, now number 4, notice you're multiplying to a negative this time, a negative 30. And adding to a negative 1, that's this guy right here. Since we're multiplying to a negative, you will have 1 plus and 1 minus. And those numbers are going to be 6 and 5, but we do have to figure out which one's going to be negative. Since we're adding to a negative 1, our bigger number, the 6, will be negative. So x minus 6 and x plus 5. All right. Down here, remember, if you don't have a middle term, if you'd like, you can rewrite this with a 0x. But whenever you see this format, you are going to be dealing with opposites. So multiplies to negative 81 and adds to 0. And that will be a positive 9 and a negative 9. Number 6, we're multiplying to 49 and we're adding to negative 14. Again, you're multiplying to a positive. Since you're multiplying to a positive, we will have the same signs, but we're adding to a negative, so we will have 2 negatives, and those numbers will be 7s. Since you do have the same thing here, they're equal, you could rewrite this as x minus 7 squared. Okay, but either option is fine. And finally, multiplying to negative 8, adding to 7, that's going to be a positive 8 and a negative 1. Again, notice multiplying to a negative, you need opposite signs, and 8 times 1 is 8, and 8 plus negative 1 is 7. Alright, so that is factoring. Now, if we come on down to the last two that we're going to do, you'll notice that we have an equal sign. So now we are both going to factor, and then we are going to solve using zero product property. So we are going to go ahead and combine both of these steps this time. Okay, so step 1 is to make sure you have an equal 0, which we do in this problem. The next step will be to factor it. Okay, so I'm going to put my format like this. Notice I've also brought down my equal 0, and I'm multiplying to 20, adding to 9. That will be a 5 and a 4. So this is your factoring step that we just did here. Now we're going to do the solving step. The solving step is where we set each individual part equal to 0. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead, we'll subtract 5 on both sides. We'll subtract 4 on both sides. And these are your two solutions, okay? Now we have solved using zero product property. So notice that your solutions are the opposites of what you had in your factored form. Okay, now the special case situation here is when you have a number that is on the other side and you don't have an equal 0. So we will have to add the 16 over first. And now we're multiplying to 16 and we're adding to negative 10. Okay, so this is now the factoring step. Multiplies to 16, adds to negative 10, and that's going to be a negative 8 and a negative 2. So that was the factoring step. Okay, factoring was yellow. Here we factored. Now we're going to solve. So we'll set each part equal to 0. And we'll add our 8 over, x equals 8, and we'll add our 2 over, x equals 2. Okay, and there you go. Now we have both factored and solved using zero product property. All right, hopefully that helped. Let me know if you have any questions, and again, go ahead and get that quiz done. Have a great day.